It's late. The house is quiet. Your phone is face down on the nightstand. The lights are off. And then, out of nowhere, your brain pulls up a memory from 3 years ago. Something you said. Something you did. A moment that lasted maybe 10 seconds in real life, but in your head, it plays again. And again. And again. You cringe. You squeeze your eyes shut. You whisper, sometimes out loud, "Why did I do that?" And the night that was supposed to be restful becomes a courtroom. Maybe it was something small. You mispronounced a word in a meeting. You laughed too loudly at a dinner table. You sent a message that came out wrong, and the person left you unread. Or maybe it was something bigger. A conversation that went sideways. A moment where you said the wrong thing to someone you deeply respect. A chance you didn't take. A version of yourself you're not proud of. Whatever the moment was, it's back. Vivid, detailed. Almost more real than the present. And the strangest part? Nobody else is thinking about it. The people involved have likely forgotten. Life moved on. But your brain didn't get the memo. So what is actually happening inside you when this unfolds? There's a war happening in your chest. One part of you wants to let it go. To just sleep. To remind yourself it was a long time ago, it doesn't matter anymore, you've grown since then. But another part, a louder part, won't release it. It keeps returning to the scene, zooming in, searching for where things went wrong. Replaying what you could have said instead. What you should have done. And underneath all of that noise, there's a quiet ache. A familiar feeling that follows these moments. Shame. Not just embarrassment. Not just regret. But something deeper, a silent whisper that says, that moment revealed something true about you. And that truth is something to be ashamed of. That's the real weight. Not the memory itself, but what your mind believes the memory means. Here's what most people don't know. Your brain is not torturing you. It's trying to protect you. In psychology, this process is called involuntary autobiographical memory retrieval, but more specifically, what's happening at night is a function of the brain's threat detection system. Your brain has one deep, primal mission: keep you safe. And social rejection, humiliation, embarrassment, being perceived as incompetent or foolish, was, for our ancestors, genuinely dangerous. To be cast out from the group was to be vulnerable. To be unsafe. So your brain filed that moment away. Marked it as unresolved. Flagged it as, we need to revisit this. We need to understand it. We need to make sure it doesn't happen again. What feels like self-torture is actually your brain doing its job. Just doing it at 2 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. When you're awake and busy, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, problem-solving part of your brain, is in charge. It keeps a lid on emotional memories. It keeps you focused on the present. But at night, as your body relaxes and stimulation fades, the prefrontal cortex goes quiet. And the amygdala, the emotional core of your brain, becomes louder. The amygdala doesn't think in logic. It thinks in feeling. In threat. In survival. And it has a habit of surfacing anything that hasn't been emotionally processed. Anything that still carries an unresolved charge. Think of it like an inbox. During the day, emails keep coming in and you stay too busy to read them. At night, when everything slows down, your brain finally opens the inbox. And the oldest, most urgent flagged messages rise to the top. Those embarrassing memories? They're flagged urgent. Not because they're important, but because they were never emotionally resolved. So here is a thought that might change something for you. The fact that your brain replays these moments doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're more self-conscious than other people, or weaker, or more neurotic. It means you care. People who feel nothing after making mistakes, who never cringe, never replay, never reflect, they don't grow. They don't evolve. They repeat the same patterns without awareness. But you're processing. Deeply. Sometimes painfully. But the pain is evidence of a conscience that's alive and working. The brain that keeps you up at night is the same brain that makes you thoughtful in conversation. Careful with your words. Aware of the people around you. Your sensitivity and your suffering come from the same root. The goal isn't to stop feeling, it's to learn how to hold those feelings differently. Here's a simple technique called the third-person reframe. The next time a memory surfaces and shame begins to creep in, instead of reliving the moment as yourself, try observing it from a distance. Imagine you're watching a documentary. And the person in that embarrassing scene isn't you, it's a close friend. Someone you love. What would you say to them? Would you say, that moment defines you? That's who you really are? Or would you say, you were human? You were learning. Everyone has moments they wish they could do differently. You already know how to offer compassion. You offer it to others every day. The practice is simply learning to turn it inward. And when the memory replays tonight, instead of trying to push it away or replay it endlessly, try simply saying, out loud or in your mind, I see you. You were doing your best. You don't have to keep proving anything to me. It sounds small. But to a brain waiting for resolution, acknowledgement is medicine. The night is not your enemy. And neither is your mind, even when it feels that way. What surfaces in the dark is not a verdict on your worth. It's an invitation. A quiet knock from the parts of you that are still waiting to be understood. Every person lying awake right now, cringing at something from their past, every single one of them is not weak. They're human. They're feeling. They're alive in the deepest sense of that word. You don't have to resolve every moment tonight. You don't have to make peace with everything at once. But you can make peace with this moment. Right here. Right now. Let the thoughts come. Watch them without judgment. And gently, the way you would guide a tired child back to sleep, guide your mind back to rest. Because the version of you that replays those moments is the same version that cares enough to become better. And that version deserves rest.